WYNT Mountain News at 11.
Good evening, I'm Justin Case. It was Monday when a fire destroyed a home in the Tots community of Harlan County, killing 2 young toddlers. For the last 2 days, the parents were fighting for their lives at a burn unit in Georgia. Today, we learned that their mother, Allison Howard, died from her injuries. While family members deal with the loss of their loved ones, the community is hoping love and prayer will help them through this difficult time. I went to a prayer vigil in Harlan County where family, friends, and community members came together as one. It's an unimaginable loss. 2 young children and now their mother. Love and prayers have been pouring in from so many places in this community, even from those who may not have been close with the family.
The Humane Society had been taking care of their animals. They had a bingo night the other night. All proceeds were going to the family. Benham Schoolhouse Inn is hosting an all-you-can-eat buffet on Sunday. All the proceeds are going toward them.
Wednesday afternoon, around 40 people joined hands and prayed for the family as they mourn the loss of their loved ones. All of this came together in less than a day through the organization With Love from Harlan.
Vicky had put a post out saying that Allison needed prayer now. That her heart had quit beating this morning.
It only took one message to convince a local pastor to be here. He says prayer is an important part of the healing process.
We got the news earlier about Allison, and it's just this entire week has been very difficult. And but we believe that maybe by just being able to come together, and if anyone had anything they'd like to say, that this may be a time that they can share their feelings, and then of course come together in prayer.
Support comes in many forms. The pastor here says the community must never stop showing the family love.
We believe that the Lord is what is getting through and helping us during this time.
Coming together to make sure a family knows they are not forgotten. Several local groups have been raising money for the family and their medical expenses, including With Love from Harlan, which has raised about $12,000. Family members say a visitation will be held for Allison and her 2 young children on Sunday at Harlan Baptist Church. Funeral services will follow. Police are still investigating the cause of the fire. One person is dead following a police chase in northeast Kentucky that ended up in a shooting. It all happened in Bath County earlier today. When the pursuit ended, investigators said there was an altercation between the suspect and a Bath County deputy. The deputy fired her weapon, killing the suspect. KSB's critical incident team is investigating the case. An earthquake woke some people up early in parts of western Kentucky. The U.S. Geological Survey says a 3.7 magnitude earthquake was reported just before 7 this morning, about 2 miles south of Bogota, Tennessee. You can see where that is on this map. Officials say the quake was felt in parts of Kentucky, Missouri, and Arkansas.
It's been a pretty quiet evening across the mountains. You'll notice really where you haven't seen many rain showers yet. Those will develop a little bit through the overnight hours. Interstate 64 in Moorhead, though, is looking dry and calm tonight. You'll notice here a satellite and radar, those clouds starting to increase, especially out west. Those showers moving in just north of Lexington, which will impact some of our northern counties. But most of us will remain relatively dry throughout the overnight hours. Those temperatures into the low to mid 60s, some spots into those upper 60s. We're even seeing a 70 still over into Richmond. That cloud cover will keep us pretty warm tonight. We'll see those overnight lows only drop to about the upper 50s to lower 60s. Few showers possible tonight, but those rain chances really increase as we head into your Thursday. The best chance for rain is going to be Thursday evening, Thursday night into Friday morning. Good news is, though, by the time we get to the weekend, hopefully we'll dry out, looking like we'll see comfortable temperatures. I'll have that full forecast coming up in just a little bit. Justin.
Paige, thank you. If you've ever driven through an active construction zone near or on a road, you know how chaotic it can be. But our driving can make things even worse. A bill focusing on protecting those crews that work alongside the roads will go into effect soon. WYMT's Connor James talks with legislators behind the bill about why this is needed.
As it gets warmer, you'll see more and more construction. But the work to upgrade and fix our roads is a dangerous one.
Actually, in the past few years, highway worker accidents have actually been on the rise.
Representative Derek Lewis successfully pushed his bill, House Bill 244, through the legislature. And in June of this year, it will go into effect.
So right now in Kentucky, the only double fines that we have are for speeding. All the states around us have done that for all moving traffic violations, and that just updates the Kentucky law to reflect that and give our highway workers more protections.
What the bill does is double the fine for all traffic violations in construction zones that could put a road worker's life at risk, not changing lanes correctly or going through a stop sign, for example. The funds will go to the Highway Workers Safety Fund.
Providing our law enforcement with the tools they need and the resources they need to patrol our work zone safely is the main purpose of the bill.
Essentially a fund that pays law enforcement to monitor those active and busy sites in the hopes,
we want these people coming back home every night.
It'll be safer for those crews that consistently work on them. Connor James, WYMT Mountain News.
The bill will go into effect on June 27th. One of the very few handmade apparatus companies is what owners in Corbin call the hidden jewel of the mountains. Southeast Apparatus in Corbin says they do all custom emergency vehicles and equipment used from the 1960s. They say while many apparatus businesses use heavy machinery, most of their vehicles are put together and manufactured by hand in the shop. Employees say they take extra precautions to make sure their emergency vehicles are safe.
It's getting babies out of burning buildings. That gets to me. It really does. That's what we do, though. That's why we do it.
Southeast Apparatus began operating in 2012. The Pike County Library hosted a job fair today. Multiple community outreach programs made it happen from 10 until 3. 25 businesses set up tables with more than 450 jobs available. Organizers say nearly 300 people showed up. Career advisor Kayla Jude says job fairs like this help showcase the talent this region has to offer.
Employers come to the Appalachian region and they see that our workforce is here and that they're ready to work, that they're able to work, that they want to work, and that we have the skills that people are looking for and that people need.
The multi-employer job fair is held twice each year. The next event will be in the fall. The Inez Motel and Restaurant does not have a clean reputation. We have reported multiple drug busts there in the past few years, but now a faith-based organization in Martin County aims to renovate the abandoned business into a drug rehabilitation center. Pastor Casey Carver and his board of 6 other community members say this addition will fill a much-needed void in the area.
I'm just hoping that they see that there is a need, of which I believe most of Kentucky and even within the country can see right now, that there is a need for drug rehabilitation.
The center will be named God's Connection. Officials will not give out medication, only what Carver calls religious healing. It will be a 30-day program. Membership is $300. If you would like to donate, we have information on how to do so on our website, WYMT.com. A generic medication used to reverse the effects of an overdose in the form of nasal spray is newly approved by the FDA. It is known as naloxone hydrochloride. Pharmacists say with brief training, you can save a life. There are 4 simple steps. Peel the tab, place a finger on either side of the nozzle, and spray into one's nose. If there is no response, repeat into the second nostril. Then immediately call 911, as the effects only last 30 to 90 minutes. Pharmacists say both adults and children may receive the medication.
This is something that you can have at home, that with brief education from the pharmacy staff, we can teach you how to use this. So you could potentially save a life of a family member or someone who unexpectedly comes in contact with an opioid.
The FDA's goal is to clear the pathway for people to eventually purchase a generic naloxone product over the counter. 10 surrounding ARH pharmacies accept walk-in requests for the nasal spray. Following the president's speech was Kentucky's Secretary of Justice and Public Safety Cabinet, John Tilley. Secretary Tilley covered reform in Kentucky and many of the policies Kentucky has enacted to start helping addicts reform and return to society. Tilley talked about how Kentucky reduced their prison growth rate of more than 40% and how the Commonwealth is working to help addicts by not just arresting them.
Kentucky took action in 2011. We passed a justice reinvestment package, which, above all else, focused on the reality that addiction, by definition, is a disease of relapse. The criminal justice system doesn't always recognize that fact.
Tilley continued to say there are multiple other things that the Commonwealth is doing and CSN does to help reform our addicts. For the third year in a row, a sitting or former U.S. president was on hand to deliver a speech at the Prescription Drug Abuse and Heroin Summit. But for the first time, a First Lady has delivered a speech. WYMT's Will Puckett was there as the President and the First Lady addressed the nearly 4,000 on hand.
After a day of multiple sessions sharing ideas throughout communities across the United States, President Trump and First Lady Melania Trump were in town to give an update on how Washington is trying to help with the opioid epidemic. President Trump called on everyone in attendance to work to end the crisis that plagues so many Americans.
My administration is deploying every resource at our disposal to empower you, to support you, and to fight right by your side, and that's what we're doing.
In his speech Wednesday, he highlighted much of the work his administration has been successful at pulling together.
I signed the Support for Patients and Communities Act, the largest ever legislative effort to combat a single drug crisis in our nation's history.
The president talked about the reduction in veteran opioid use and overall drop in opioid deaths.
1 year ago, we pledged to cut nationwide opioid prescriptions by 1/3. Already during my time in office, we have reduced the total amount of opioid prescribed by 34%. That's a pretty amazing number.
The president also took the time to acknowledge those who have overcome addiction, while also highlighting those who have seen the grips of addiction firsthand.
12 days before Christmas, December 13th, 2017, 12 days before Christmas, he passed away of a heroin and fentanyl overdose.
And addressing what he calls a national emergency at the southern border and calls for renewed talks in Washington to fix also what he calls a broken immigration system. All of this wraps up with the SAM Summit tomorrow morning, talking about smart approaches to marijuana. That's what SAM stands for. In Atlanta, Will Puckett, WYMT Mountain News.
You can watch the president's entire address on WYMT.com. Coming up at 11, the Boy Scouts of America believes more than 7,800 former leaders sexually abused children over a 72-year period. We'll have the latest.
And showers increase tonight as a cold front works its way into the mountains. I'll have that full forecast in just a few short minutes.